relax, and stop chasing it. The very act of chasing something implies that it is running away from you. It suggests that what you desire is far from your grasp, that it must be pursued with urgency, with strain, with effort. But nothing could be further from the truth. What you seek is already yours. The problem is not in its availability, it is in your state of being. The chase only prolongs the distance between you and your desire because you declare with every anxious step, "It is not mine yet." That declaration is a command, and the world listens to it with unwavering loyalty. To relax is not to give up. To relax is to accept. It is to allow what is yours to come, not through force, not through desperate striving, but through inner certainty. When you close your eyes and feel the wish fulfilled, when you dwell in the assumption that all you desire is already fact, you stop running. You become still. And in that stillness, you begin to radiate the signal that calls it to you. You were not created to chase life. Life was designed to respond to your inner world. When your soul is calm, when your mind is at peace, when you dwell in the end as if it were already so, life organizes itself to reflect your state. That's the secret. The universe reflects your innermost assumptions, not your words, not your effort, not your chase, but your belief in the unseen. The world bends to the shape of your inner world. To relax means to trust. To stop chasing means to believe that what you have imagined is already moving toward you. It means letting go of the illusion of control and recognizing that your inner state is your true power. When you try to force things, you are declaring separation, you are affirming lack. But when you assume the feeling of the fulfilled desire and rest in it, you are declaring union, you are affirming abundance. You do not need to convince the world, you only need to convince yourself. That is where the true work lies. You can work tirelessly and still delay your desire if your inner state is filled with doubt. But one moment of pure assumption, one moment where you see it, feel it, and rest in it as truth, is more powerful than a lifetime of effort. Your outer reality is simply the echo of your inner convictions. You need not shout to be heard. You need only whisper it to your soul. Imagine what you want and feel as though it is already yours. Not tomorrow, not one day, now. The chase ends when the belief begins. The search ends when the knowing arises. You cannot force what is already yours, you can only accept it. Relax. Breathe. Let the tension dissolve. Let the urgency melt away. Let the mind fall quiet and the heart awaken to the truth. You are the creator of your reality. Your assumption is the seed. Your calm is the soil. Your belief is the sun. The harvest does not come by running through fields, but by trusting that what you planted must grow. Stop chasing. Close your eyes and receive. It is yours, not because you earned it through struggle, but because you dared to believe. The moment you begin to chase something, you declare with your entire being that you do not have it. Every step you take in pursuit of that desire is a subtle yet powerful affirmation that it is missing from your life. This is not merely about words or intentions, it's about the deep vibration you carry within. When you chase, you project lack. When you run after something with anxiety, with urgency, with the mindset of "I must get this," you create a state of resistance within yourself. You are saying, "It is out there and I am here and there is a gap between us." That gap, that perceived distance, becomes the very wall that keeps your desire from flowing effortlessly into your life. People often misunderstand this. They believe that hard pursuit is proof of desire. They believe that relentless action is the only way to make something real. But in spiritual truth, chasing is not the path to receiving. In fact, chasing is the clearest sign that you have not yet accepted your desire as yours. It is the denial of fulfillment, not the affirmation of it. The universe is not compelled by how badly you want something. It is moved by how deeply you believe it is already yours. When you chase, you radiate an energy of desperation. Desperation communicates fear, and fear always signals the absence of faith. It is impossible to be in faith and in fear at the same time. One cancels the other. The laws that govern creation do not respond to your words or your wishes. They respond to your inner state. And that state is always being broadcast whether you are aware of it or not. You can affirm abundance with your mouth and still radiate lack with your heart. You can visualize success and still carry an energy of unworthiness. You can pray for love while simultaneously believing you are not lovable. It is this contradiction between your conscious desires and your subconscious assumptions that keeps your manifestation just out of reach. Chasing something, even if it looks like determination on the surface, is often the evidence of this inner contradiction. To chase is to say, I do not have, and when you say that long enough, the world believes you. The mirror of life reflects back exactly what you project into it. You look at your current situation and you see absence. You see what's missing, what hasn't arrived, what hasn't changed, and then you act based on that observation. You try harder, you push more, you chase the thing with renewed intensity, thinking this effort will bridge the gap. But all you've really done is reinforce the belief that the gap exists. Chasing is a restless state. It is fueled by the idea that fulfillment is separate from you, that it lies somewhere in the future. But what if it didn't? What if the very thing you were chasing was already within reach, waiting not for more movement but for more stillness? What if the only thing delaying your desire was your refusal to believe that you could stop running? You must understand that your desire is not ignoring you, it is not hiding. It is responding to the message you are constantly sending it, and the most powerful message you can ever send is not, I want this, it is, I already have this. When you stand still in that truth, the energy shifts. Your being begins to align with the end, not the means. Your mind becomes quiet, your soul becomes open, your heart becomes a magnet, not a force. And in that stillness, in that sacred non-action, things begin to move in your favor, not because you chase them, but because you stop chasing. The chase creates resistance. It is like trying to hold water with a clenched fist. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips away. But when your hand is open, relaxed, receptive, the water rests in your palm. The same is true with life. The more you clench, the more you control, the more you force, the more your desire escapes you. But when you surrender the chase and return to a calm, assumed faith, life responds with favor. What was running from you turns around. What was hidden becomes visible. What was delayed finds a clear path. Chasing is not faith. Chasing is fear wearing the mask of ambition. It's the fear of not getting what you want dressed up as determination. It's the fear of being left behind, covered in the appearance of persistence. But your spirit knows better. Deep down, there is a knowing that what is truly yours cannot pass you by, and in that knowing you find rest, you find peace. You find the courage to stop running, to stop striving, to stop grasping, and to begin dwelling in the assumption that it is already done. You do not have to chase what belongs to you. The flower does not chase the sun. It simply turns toward the light and blooms. The ocean does not chase the shore. It rises and falls in its rhythm, knowing the shore will meet it. So too must you return to your rhythm, the rhythm of trust, the rhythm of belief, the rhythm of surrender. When you return to that place, you no longer seek from a place of lack. You no longer act from a place of need. You begin to live as if the thing has already arrived, and in doing so, you make space for it to do exactly that. Chasing keeps you busy, but it does not make you magnetic. Chasing keeps you tired, but it does not make you worthy. Chasing keeps you focused on the future, but it robs you of the power of the now. And the now is the only place creation ever truly happens. To manifest is to dwell in the end as if it already were, not to exhaust yourself on the journey, trying to prove you're ready. Your readiness is not in your effort, it is in your alignment. It is in the moment you say quietly but confidently, I don't need to run after it, I already am it. That is when the chase ends. That is when the resistance dissolves. That is when life begins to return all that you have been longing for. Not because you pursued it, but because you believed. Creation begins in the unseen. Before anything appears in the physical world, it exists first in the realm of assumption. What you assume to be true within yourself becomes the foundation upon which your reality is built. Most people believe they must see it to believe it. But in truth, it is belief that makes the seeing possible. The creative act is not a matter of waiting for something to show up and then responding to it. It is the inner declaration, the silent conviction that it is already so, even when all evidence says otherwise. That is the secret most miss. Assumption is not a wish, it is a knowing. It is the deliberate act of accepting something as true within, long before the world has caught up. When you assume something, you are not asking for permission, you are not negotiating with reality. You are deciding, you are stepping into a state where the desire is no longer a desire, it is an experienced fact in your consciousness. And once it becomes real there, it must express itself outwardly. The outer world is nothing more than a mirror of the inner state. It reflects back not what you want, not what you hope for, but what you believe to be true about yourself and your life. People spend so much time trying to change their external world without realizing that the source of change is always internal. They work harder, push more, chase endlessly, and still remain stuck because the foundation of their effort is built on a shaky assumption that they do not yet have what they want. That assumption poisons every action. It colors every step with lack, with fear, with contradiction. And the universe responds to that contradiction by delivering more of the same. It does not discriminate between good or bad, wanted or unwanted. It simply reflects the seed planted in the soil of consciousness. To live in assumption is to live as if the end has already come. It is to walk, speak, think, and feel from the state of completion. This is not imagination for the sake of fantasy. It is imagination as a spiritual tool, a creative force that brings forth what is real but not yet visible. The world around you bends to the shape of your imagination, but only when that imagination is believed, assumed, embodied. If you imagine something and then doubt it immediately, you cancel the creation before it can take form. But if you imagine and then continue in that assumption, quietly, steadily, faithfully, you become a magnet for the fulfillment of that vision. Assumption is the bridge between desire and manifestation. It is not enough to want. It is not enough to dream. You must become the version of yourself who already has it. You must occupy that state so completely that it becomes second nature. That's when the shift happens. Not because the world changed, but because you did. The world is always reacting to your identity, not your struggle. When you identify as the one who already possesses the thing you desire, you send a signal that is unmistakable. That signal is what life responds to. It is not loud, it is not frantic, it is still, and yet it moves mountains. People misunderstand assumption as denial. They say, but how can I say I have it when I clearly don't? The answer is simple. You are not lying to yourself. You are choosing to believe the higher reality. You are choosing to step into the divine truth that all things exist now, and your consciousness is the key that unlocks them. Time is not the barrier, belief is. When you assume, you collapse the time it would take to reach the goal. You bring the end into the present. You experience the joy now, the love now, the wealth now, the healing now. And because you experience it now, life has no choice but to align itself with your new state. You can measure the effectiveness of your assumption not by how quickly things appear, but by how natural the assumption feels. If it still feels like pretending, then the state has not yet been fully accepted. But if it feels normal, if it feels like home, then you have entered the state that will inevitably bring about the desired outcome. The outer world cannot help but conform. It always conforms. The delay is never in the desire, it is in the assumption. The moment you shift, the world begins to rearrange. This is why you must guard your inner state more carefully than you guard anything else. It is your most sacred possession. It is the blueprint of your future. You must refuse to let fear rewrite it. You must not let doubt sabotage it. And most importantly, you must not let appearances deceive you into abandoning the truth you have assumed. The world may look unchanged at first. It may even seem to resist your assumption. But that is only the echo of the old state fading away. It has no power unless you feed it with renewed belief. Hold steady. Stay true. Let your assumption become so rooted within you that no outer circumstance can uproot it. Assumption is not a game. It is not a technique. It is a way of life. It is the quiet power that governs the unseen mechanics of your reality. Every great change begins with a silent shift within, not with noise, not with force, but with stillness and faith. You do not need anyone's permission to assume the life you want. You do not need signs or proof or validation. You need only the courage to believe in the invisible long enough for it to become visible. That is the essence of creation. That is the doorway through which all things enter. When you make assumption your dwelling place, not just your temporary hope, the impossible becomes ordinary. The distant becomes near. The desired becomes familiar. Life stops being something you chase and becomes something you allow. You walk differently, you speak differently, you breathe differently, and the world cannot help but notice. It begins to mirror your new state. Not because you forced it to, but because you finally stopped denying it. That is the moment when the shift becomes real. That is when the unseen becomes seen. Not by accident, but by law. Not by effort, but by assumption. Stillness is often misunderstood. To many it seems passive, like inaction or weakness. But stillness is the most powerful state a person can inhabit because it is rooted in complete confidence. When you are still, when your mind is at ease, when your soul is at rest, you are declaring to the universe that you already know, you already trust, you already believe. There is no need to panic, to scramble, or to force anything into place. Stillness says, I know it is done. And this knowing, this silent conviction is what makes you magnetic. It draws what you desire to you because it confirms within that you are no longer lacking, no longer doubting, no longer questioning the outcome. Struggle, on the other hand, is a signal of separation. It is the external evidence of an internal conflict. You may be working hard, taking action and appearing determined, but underneath all that effort may lie fear. Fear that it won't happen. Fear that you're not worthy. Fear that you're running out of time. That fear is what keeps you locked in a cycle of striving, chasing, and grasping. And because the universe mirrors your state of being, it continues to give you more to chase, more to fear, more distance between you and the thing you want. There is a very fine line between inspired action and fearful effort. Inspired action flows from stillness. It is gentle, intuitive, and aligned. It doesn't feel forced. It feels like a natural extension of your inner belief. When you act from this place, things move easily. People respond favorably, and paths open with little resistance. But when your actions are born out of anxiety, when they come from a place of needing to fix, prove, or control, you'll find that no matter how hard you try, nothing seems to work. Doors remain closed. Opportunities fall apart. Relationships grow strained. That's because struggle emits a frequency of desperation. And desperation never attracts what you truly want. It only reinforces the absence of it. You were not created to strive endlessly. You were not meant to be in a constant state of tension, always trying to pull life toward you. Life already wants to move toward you. Life already wants to give to you. But it can only do so when you become receptive. And you become receptive when you are still. Stillness does not mean doing nothing. It means doing everything from a place of peace. It means acting without fear, speaking without doubt, and moving without resistance. It is the state where your faith is greater than your fear. Your trust is stronger than your need to control. Many people are afraid of stillness because they equate it with laziness or stagnation. But the stillness that comes from inner alignment is far from idle. It is full of life, full of energy, full of power. It is the womb of creation. Just like the seed does not struggle to grow once planted, you too must trust that once your desire has been assumed, life will respond accordingly. The seed does not dig itself into the soil every day to make sure it's growing. It simply rests. It abides. And in that quiet confidence, it draws to itself everything it needs. Light, warmth, nourishment, without force, without fear. When you are still within, even if the outer world appears chaotic, you remain grounded. You are not swayed by appearances. You do not panic when things seem slow or stagnant. You understand that the process is unfolding even if you cannot yet see it. You no longer beg the universe to hurry. You no longer demand signs. You no longer doubt because things look the same. You rest in the knowing that your assumption is creating, and in due time it will manifest. The quietest moment often carries the greatest power. You do not need to push for things to happen. You need only to prepare yourself inwardly. If you are not receiving what you desire, it is not because you have not worked hard enough. It is because there is still some part of you that does not believe it is yours. That disbelief creates noise. It creates friction. It creates delay. Stillness clears the way. It allows you to connect with the version of you who already has it. And once you become that version, once you think, speak, act, and feel from that state, you magnetize everything aligned with it. Stillness is not the absence of movement. It is the presence of certainty. And certainty is the language the universe responds to. When you are certain, your energy shifts. Your frequency rises. You begin to attract from a place of fullness, not need. People sense it. Circumstances align with it. Opportunities gravitate toward it. You do not have to explain yourself. You do not have to defend your vision. You do not have to convince anyone of what is coming. Your stillness becomes your declaration. It becomes your power. It becomes the force that quietly draws all things to you without you having to chase them. Imagine two people standing in a room. One pacing back and forth, constantly checking the clock, anxious for something to arrive. The other sitting calmly, smiling, confident that what they desire is on its way. Who do you think receives faster? The one who is restless communicates that they're unsure, that they don't believe it's really coming. The one who is calm has already welcomed it in their spirit, and so life has no resistance to bring it forth. This is why struggle delays. It keeps your attention fixated on what you don't yet see, on what isn't working, on what might go wrong. It pulls your awareness away from the end and drags you back into the middle. But stillness anchors you in the end. Stillness lets you taste the outcome before it arrives. It is a rehearsal of the desired future, not a declaration that something greater is already unfolding. You must train yourself to find peace in the invisible, to become still, not only when things look good, but especially when they don't. That is where your true power is tested. That is where your faith becomes more than words. It becomes embodiment. When you can be still while the world is noisy, When you can hold your center while circumstances swirl around you, you have stepped into mastery. And from that place, you no longer attract what you fear, you attract what you are. You no longer live in reaction, you live in creation. You become the calm in the storm, the quiet center of a moving world, and everything begins to orbit around your stillness. Your inner state is the origin of everything that unfolds in your external world. It is not merely a background feeling or a fleeting emotion. It is the silent architect of your life's experiences. People look to circumstances, to other people, to luck or timing to explain the condition of their lives. But the real explanation is always within. The thoughts you consistently entertain, the feelings you allow to settle into your heart, the beliefs you hold about who you are and what you deserve, these are the blueprints from which your world is built. The outer reality is nothing more than a mirror, reflecting back the contents of your inner world. Many fail to grasp the power of their internal state because they are conditioned to believe that reality is fixed, that it is something to react to rather than something they create. They say, I feel poor because I am poor, or I feel lonely because no one loves me, not realizing that the feeling came first. The state of poverty, of loneliness, of lack, it was born not from the world, but from within the self. And once accepted as truth, it began to express itself outwardly, forming events, drawing people, and shaping environments to match that inner conviction. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. You attract the sum total of your dominant thoughts, emotions, and assumptions. This is why change does not begin on the outside. You cannot decorate the surface of your life with temporary improvements while ignoring the chaos that rages within. Eventually, the outer world will crack and crumble to reflect the unrest you never addressed. If you want peace in your life, you must become peace. If you want love, you must become love. If you want success, you must see yourself as successful before any external marker arrives. The world cannot give you what you do not first give to yourself through the belief in its presence. This is not about pretending. It is not about ignoring difficulties or playing make-believe. It is about shifting identity. It is about choosing a new state of consciousness and dwelling in it until it becomes your new normal. Your inner state is not something static. It is fluid, and it responds to your focus. The more you give attention to fear, the more fearful you become. The more you dwell in gratitude, the more your world begins to expand with blessing. This is not coincidence, it is law. What you focus on expands, and what you feel repeatedly becomes your reality. You may say the right words, take all the right actions, and still see no change because your inner state has not shifted. You still carry the vibration of lack, of doubt, of frustration, and so the world gives you more of the same. It listens not to what you say, but to what you are. You can't cheat this process. You cannot cover fear with fake confidence or speak abundance while your heart whispers poverty. The universe is precise. It responds with absolute clarity to the frequency you broadcast. And that frequency is set by your dominant state of being. If you want to change your life, the first step is not external action, it is internal alignment. You must become aware of what you are radiating. Are you constantly worried? Do you feel unworthy? Do you secretly expect things to go wrong? These states, though subtle, are powerful. They sabotage your efforts not because life is against you, but because you are unknowingly reinforcing a story that is rooted in fear, and that story becomes the script by which your life plays out. If you wish to see a new story unfold, you must choose a new state to live from. This is why people can work hard for years and never move forward. Their effort is genuine, their desire is strong, but their inner state has not changed. They still believe that what they want is far away. They still feel like they are not enough. And so life mirrors that belief. Nothing shifts until the inner climate shifts. That is the secret of transformation. Not in the hustle, but in the harmony within. When you align your inner state with the outcome you desire, you begin to live from the end rather than striving toward it. You no longer say, "One day I will be," but rather, "I already am." And that shift changes everything. You feel different, you speak differently, you make decisions from a place of power rather than fear. The people around you sense the difference. Opportunities begin to come not because you chased them, but because you have become the kind of person they are drawn to. Your inner state is your true identity. It is the version of you that the world responds to. You cannot fool the mirror. If you look into it with sadness in your eyes and a smile on your face, the reflection will still show the sadness. Likewise, if you try to project confidence while harboring insecurity, the energy will betray you. The only way to change the reflection is to change what is standing before it. The only way to change your life is to change your inner state. This is the spiritual technology that governs creation. It is not mystical in the sense of being unknowable. It is mystical because it is invisible, yet more powerful than anything you can touch. When you take the time to cultivate a new inner reality, everything else begins to follow. Not immediately, perhaps, not in ways you might expect, but inevitably, consistently, and always in alignment with who you have decided to become on the inside. There is no power in begging the world to change. There is no strength in trying to control people or events or circumstances. The real power lies in mastering the self, in choosing joy when fear is loud, in holding peace when the storm rages, in believing you are already blessed, even when the evidence has not yet appeared. That kind of faith, that kind of identity reshapes everything. And from that foundation, your outer world becomes a living echo of your inner truth. Not because you forced it, but because you finally remembered who you really are and allowed the world to reflect it. There is a difference between effort and faith. Effort often arises from fear. Fear that if you don't act now, everything will fall apart. Fear that if you don't take control, your desire will never manifest. But faith is a quiet force. It does not rush. It does not panic. It does not demand proof. Faith sits calmly, knowing that what it has imagined, what it has assumed, must come to pass. This kind of faith is not loud or dramatic. It is subtle, unshakable, and anchored in truth. When you carry that kind of faith within you, you no longer feel the need to chase, to beg, or to force outcomes. You understand that everything you are meant to receive is already on its way. Not because you strained for it, but because you trusted it. Receiving requires stillness, not striving. When your heart is truly open, when your soul is aligned with what you've assumed, you stop looking outward for confirmation. You no longer check the clock or the calendar wondering when it will arrive. Instead, you begin to live as if it has already arrived. You carry the energy of someone who has already received. That energy, subtle and invisible, is what draws all things to you. The world is magnetized to the person who believes, not the one who tries to prove, not the one who needs constant reassurance, but the one who simply knows. You cannot force what you don't yet believe you deserve. You may want it with every fiber of your being, but if you are constantly trying to push your way into it, you're silently admitting that it's not yours yet. That admission, though quiet, is powerful. It speaks to the universe with more volume than any prayer or affirmation. It says, "I am still waiting." But the one who understands how creation works no longer waits. They prepare. They make room for it in their hearts, in their minds, in their lives. They walk through the day not in hope, but in possession. You must remember, force comes from fear, but faith comes from knowing. And knowing is what changes everything. When you stop needing to see results in order to believe, and instead believe first, you unlock a power that cannot be shaken by delay. Your current reality becomes irrelevant because you are no longer living from it, you are living from the state of fulfillment. And because that state is now your dwelling place, life begins to mirror it. There is great courage in not reacting to the absence of what you want. It takes strength to remain calm when nothing outside is changing, but you've changed on the inside. That is the essence of faith. Not in theory, but in practice. It is choosing the inner reality over the outer appearance. And that choice, though often difficult, is where all creation begins. When you trust the unseen more than what is seen, when you give your energy to the assumption rather than the evidence, you shift everything. This is why trying harder is often the very thing that blocks your desire. When you're trying, you're broadcasting a message of lack. You're saying, I don't have this yet, and I need to do something to get it. That message may be unconscious, but it's always received. The law does not respond to your effort, it responds to your state. And your state is most powerful when it is still, when it is certain, when it is anchored in the belief that it is already done. Receiving is not passive, it is intentional, it is not lazy, it is aware. When you truly receive, you are not just sitting and waiting. You are preparing your life around the assumption that your desire has already arrived. You make decisions differently. You speak differently. You feel differently. There is no need to prove anything to anyone, including yourself. You are not convincing, you are confirming. And in that confirmation, the world around you begins to shift. Consider how a person behaves when they know something wonderful is coming. They don't panic. They don't pace. They don't question every detail. They simply live in joyful expectation. That is the energy of true receivership. It is not found in the effort to manifest. It is found in the awareness that it is already yours. And because it's already yours, you don't chase it, you create space for it. You align your thoughts and emotions with it. You celebrate its coming before it arrives, because in your heart, it already has. The paradox is that the more you chase something, the more you keep it away. Chasing affirms separation, but receiving affirms unity. It says, this belongs to me, and I will welcome it when the time is right. That posture of trust opens doors that force will never open. It softens resistance. It quiets the noise. It brings you into harmony with the flow of life. And in that flow, everything begins to move on your behalf. Do not underestimate the power of resting in faith. It is not weakness. It is not avoidance. It is the highest form of trust. It says to the universe, I no longer doubt. That declaration, though invisible, is louder than any desperate action. It is a signal of surrender, not to fate, but to the truth of your assumption. You are not giving up. You are allowing. You are rising. You are rising. Rising into the version of yourself who already has what you once longed for. The greatest manifestations do not come to those who push the hardest. They come to those who believe the deepest. Those who carry the inner conviction that their desires are already done, already answered, already delivered in the unseen. They live as if the world has no choice but to comply with their inner vision, and so it does. Not because they demanded it, but because they trusted it, because they let go of the need to chase, and in doing so they created space to receive. Before the world awakens and the first light kisses the earth, let your heart be lifted in gratitude. The moment you open your eyes, you have been given another day, another opportunity, another canvas upon which to paint the masterpiece of your life. And so, before you step into the world, step into awareness. Recognize the infinite presence that breathes life into you. Know that you are not alone, for the divine mind moves through you as you, shaping every moment of your existence. Gratitude is not merely words spoken in passing. It is the key that unlocks the abundance of heaven itself. What you appreciate, appreciates. What you give thanks for, expands. Every blessing you acknowledge multiplies. This is the sacred law, written not in books, but upon the heart of creation itself. You are not waiting to be blessed. You are already blessed. You are not waiting to receive, you are already receiving. The great secret of life is to recognize this truth and to give thanks before the evidence appears. In the stillness of the morning, close your eyes and feel the presence of the divine surrounding you. Speak with certainty, I am grateful for this day. I am grateful for the love that flows through me. I am grateful for the unseen doors that are opening, for the miracles that are already set in motion. Even before my feet touch the ground, I know that everything I need is already provided. Let this be the rhythm of your heart, a song of gratitude that moves with you throughout the day. When you give thanks, you align yourself with the highest vibration of the universe. You are no longer pleading, you are proclaiming. You are not asking in doubt, you are affirming in faith. To give thanks is to step into the reality of your answered prayer, to claim the fullness of what has already been given. It is a shift in consciousness, a transformation of the mind. And as you walk in gratitude, the world must reflect that which you carry within. Every challenge is a hidden gift. Every obstacle is a disguised blessing. Give thanks not only for what is easy, but for what stretches you, for the trials that refine you, for the lessons that shape you into the highest expression of yourself. Nothing is against you. Everything is working for your good. So instead of fear, choose gratitude. Instead of worry, choose faith. Let every breath be a silent prayer of thanksgiving. The world may say, I will give thanks when I see the blessing, but the awakened soul knows I will give thanks now, and the blessing will appear. This is the mystery of creation, the secret of manifestation. Whatever you desire, bless it. Whatever you seek, give thanks that it is already yours. When you walk in the awareness that you are divinely guided, provided for, and loved beyond measure, you will see the evidence unfold before your eyes. Rise each morning with a heart full of gratitude. Let the first words upon your lips be words of thanksgiving. The day ahead is already blessed. The path before you is already clear. Walk in faith, speak with certainty, and give thanks in all things. What you sow in gratitude, you shall reap in abundance. Each morning, as you awaken from the depths of sleep, you stand at the threshold of infinite possibilities. In that sacred moment between sleep and wakefulness, the world has not yet claimed you, and your mind is most receptive to divine impressions. This is the time to plant the seeds of gratitude, for what you acknowledge now will shape the day before you. Give thanks not merely in words, but with the full power of your feeling. Let gratitude rise from the depths of your being and flood every corner of your soul. Let it become the atmosphere in which you move, the very breath that sustains you. Nothing in your life is by accident. Every event, every encounter, every experience has been orchestrated by the unseen hand of divine intelligence. The challenges, the joys, the delays, and the breakthroughs, all of it is serving a greater purpose. When you choose to see through the eyes of faith, you understand that nothing is missing. Everything you need is already present, waiting for you to recognize it. And so, with this knowing, you give thanks in advance. You speak as if the blessing has already arrived. You walk as if the doors have already opened. You carry yourself with the confidence of one who knows that all things are working together for good. There are those who spend their days longing for what they do not have, believing that happiness will arrive with the next achievement, the next possession, the next moment. But the wise understand that joy is not found in the pursuit of more, it is found in the recognition of what already is. Look around you, breathe deeply, feel the warmth of life moving through your body. This moment is a gift, and the more you acknowledge it, the more blessings will reveal themselves to you. The abundance you seek is not something outside of you, it is within you, waiting to be recognized. What you focus on expands. If you wake up and dwell on what is missing, you will experience lack. If you dwell on what is wrong, you will encounter more obstacles. But if you wake up and give thanks for even the smallest blessings, you will find that those blessings multiply. Give thanks for the roof over your head, for the breath in your lungs, for the unseen forces guiding your every step. Give thanks for the strength within you, for the lessons that have shaped you, for the unseen hands that have carried you through the storms of life. Nothing is too small to be acknowledged. Nothing is too insignificant to be celebrated. Every morning as you rise, remind yourself that you are walking in divine favor. The universe is conspiring for your highest good. Even when you do not see the way is being made. Even when you feel lost, you are being led. Even when you cannot understand the purpose of a challenge, trust that it is refining you, shaping you, preparing you for something greater. There is nothing in your life that is wasted. Every experience is a stepping stone. Every delay is divine redirection. Every disappointment is an invitation to trust deeper. And so instead of questioning, you give thanks. Instead of doubting, you surrender. Instead of resisting, you allow. The secret to an abundant life is not in striving, but in receiving. The moment you give thanks, you align yourself with the flow of divine abundance. You cease struggling. You cease searching. You step into a state of knowing. And in this state, blessings find you effortlessly. Miracles unfold before your eyes. Solutions appear where there once were none. Doors swing open that you never even knocked on. This is the power of gratitude. It transforms your world from the inside out. What if, for just one day, you decided to give thanks for everything? Not just for what is pleasant, but for everything. What if you thanked the people who challenge you, for they're your greatest teachers? What if you thanked the closed doors, for they redirected you to something better? What if you thanked the delays, for they protected you from unseen harm? What if you thanked even the pain, for it revealed to you your strength? If you could do this, you would discover a secret hidden from many, that nothing in your life is against you. Everything is for you. Begin each day with this understanding, and you will find that the world mirrors it back to you. What you expect, you will experience. If you wake up anticipating goodness, goodness will meet you at every turn. If you wake up expecting favor, favor will follow you wherever you go. If you wake up declaring that today is blessed, watch as blessings unfold in ways you never imagined. Your thoughts are powerful. Your words are creative. Your gratitude is magnetic. There is a great mystery at work in this universe, one that many fail to see because they are too distracted by appearances. But you are not among them. You have awakened to the truth that what you feel within will be reflected without. The world does not determine your experience. Your inner state does. If you walk in gratitude, you will walk in abundance. If you walk in appreciation, you will walk in joy. If you give thanks for what is, you will open the floodgates for more to come. As you move through your day, keep this awareness with you. Let every step be a prayer of thanksgiving. Let every interaction be infused with appreciation. Let every moment be a reminder that you are divinely guided, infinitely loved, and endlessly blessed. Do not wait for something to change before you give thanks. Give thanks now. And watch as everything begins to shift. It is not a practice, it is a way of being. It is not something you do, it is something you embody. When gratitude becomes your natural state, lack disappears, fear dissolves, doubt vanishes. You are standing in the midst of a divine orchestration, a grand design beyond what your eyes can see. Every detail of your life is held in perfect order. You are never forgotten, you are never forsaken, you are never without help. The infinite presence that formed the stars, that set the sun in motion, that breathed life into all creation, is the same presence that moves through you. And if that presence is for you, what could ever be against you? The greatest secret is not in getting more, but in recognizing what you already have. When you understand this, your life will be forever changed. You will cease striving. You will cease worrying. You will rest in the knowing that you are already provided for, already taken care of, already complete. And in this knowing you will find peace. In this knowing you will find joy. In this knowing you will find that there is nothing left to do but give thanks. So let this be your morning prayer. Let this be the song of your heart. Let this be the vibration you carry into the world, not as a fleeting moment, but as a way of living, not as something you remember, but as something you become. Give thanks not just with words, but with your entire being. Give thanks not just when it is easy, but especially when it is difficult. Give thanks not just for what you see, but for what is yet to come. And as you do, watch as the universe moves, as doors open, as blessings unfold, as miracles abound. Watch as life itself rises to meet you, reflecting back the gratitude that you have so freely given. Every breath you take is a divine gift, a sacred reminder that life flows through you effortlessly. You do not command the sun to rise, nor do you instruct the earth to turn, yet these things happen in perfect harmony, just as your life is unfolding in divine order. When you recognize this, when you truly see the infinite intelligence that sustains all things, you cannot help but give thanks. Gratitude becomes the natural language of your soul. It is not something you practice, it is something you embody, something that overflows from the depths of your being. You are never lacking. The illusion of lack comes from failing to see the fullness of what already exists. But when your eyes are open, when your heart is receptive, you see that you have always been provided for. Every need has been met, even before you became aware of it. The breath in your lungs, the beat of your heart, the very energy that moves through your body, these are all signs of the divine presence working in you. The moment you acknowledge this, you shift into a new reality, one where struggle ceases and blessings flow freely. There is no need to beg for what has already been given. You do not plead for the sun to shine or the rivers to flow, for you know they are constant. Likewise, you need not plead for abundance, for it is already yours. Your only task is to recognize it, and you recognize it through gratitude. Each time you give thanks, you align yourself with the divine current of life. Each time you acknowledge the goodness that surrounds you, you open yourself to receive more. Gratitude is the key that unlocks the storehouse of blessings that have always been available to you. Do not let the distractions of the world blind you to the miracles unfolding in every moment. Many live in a constant state of wanting, always reaching for something just beyond their grasp. But wanting only creates more wanting. The secret is not in desiring more, but in recognizing that you already have enough. And as you give thanks for what is, you create space for what is to expand. This is the great paradox. When you are grateful, you receive more to be grateful for. The world will try to convince you that you are incomplete, that you must strive, that you must prove yourself. But the truth is, you are already whole. Nothing outside of you can add to or take away from the essence of who you are. The love that created you is the same love that sustains you, and in that love there is no lack. When you give thanks, you are affirming this truth. You are declaring to the universe that you recognize your completeness, and in doing so you magnetize all that is in harmony with your highest good. Each morning is a new beginning, a fresh opportunity to step into the fullness of life. What you set in motion at the start of your day will ripple throughout every moment that follows. If you begin with worry, worry will color your experiences. If you begin with gratitude, gratitude will shape your reality. It is not the circumstances that determine your day, but the state of your heart. And the heart that is filled with thanksgiving walks in peace, in joy, in divine favor. You are never alone. The same presence that moves the tides and calls forth the stars is the presence that moves within you. When you trust this, when you know it deep within your soul, there is no room for fear. Fear cannot exist in the presence of gratitude. Doubt cannot survive in the heart that knows it is cared for. When you truly give thanks, you dissolve every worry, every limitation, every false belief that has ever held you back. You step into a state of allowing, where all that is meant for you flows effortlessly into your life. Give thanks for the things you cannot yet see, for in the unseen realm they are already forming. Just as a seed takes root in the darkness before it breaks through the soil, so too are your blessings unfolding, even when you do not yet perceive them. The moment you express gratitude for what is coming, you accelerate its manifestation. You align yourself with the reality where it already exists. You step into the awareness that what you seek is not in the future. It is here now, waiting for you to claim it. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it is a vibration, a frequency that resonates with the very fabric of creation. When you give thanks, you send out a signal that attracts more of what you are grateful for. You shift your consciousness from lack to abundance, from separation to unity, from fear to love. And in this state, miracles become the norm, not the exception. You are no longer a passive observer of life. You become a conscious creator, shaping your reality with the power of your thoughts and feelings. Look at your life through the lens of gratitude, and you will see that nothing has been wasted. Even the moments that seemed difficult, even the seasons of waiting, even the times when you felt lost, all of it was guiding you, teaching you, preparing you. When you give thanks for these moments, you transform them. What once felt like obstacles now become stepping stones. What once seemed like loss now reveals itself as redirect. Gratitude allows you to see the hand of the divine in all things. You are already blessed beyond measure. You do not need to chase blessings. You only need to recognize them, and as you recognize them, they multiply. The more you acknowledge the goodness in your life, the more goodness you will experience. This is not a theory, it is a law, as certain as gravity, as sure as the rising sun. You have seen it in your own life. When you focus on lack, lack increases. When you focus on abundance, abundance grows. You hold the key, you always have. Let this moment be one of deep, heartfelt gratitude. Feel the warmth of divine love surrounding you. Feel the certainty that all is well. Feel the peace that comes from knowing you are exactly where you are meant to be. Give thanks for who you are, for where you are, for all that is unfolding. Let gratitude be your prayer, your affirmation, your way of being. And as you do, watch as the world mirrors back to you the beauty, the abundance, the limitless blessings that have been yours all along. Giving thanks to God is one of the most powerful and transformative practices we can engage in each day. It sets the tone for the day, aligning us with gratitude and positivity, and helps us recognize the many blessings in our lives. When we wake up in the morning, we are gifted with a new day full of endless possibilities, and our first act should be one of deep appreciation to God for this opportunity. It is in the simple yet profound act of giving thanks that we open ourselves to experience peace, joy, and abundance. As we begin our day, let us pause for a moment to reflect on the goodness of God. He has provided us with everything we need, our health, our families, our homes, and the breath of life. Each of these blessings is a manifestation of His love and care for us. In the midst of our busy lives, it's easy to overlook these gifts, but when we intentionally pause to give thanks, we shift our focus from what we lack to what we have. This shift in perspective brings forth an energy of gratitude that can impact every aspect of our day. The act of thanking God is not only about recognizing the big blessings, but also the small ones, the little things we often take for granted. We might wake up in a comfortable bed, have food to eat, or be surrounded by loved ones. These everyday gifts are divine expressions of God's provision, and when we take time to thank Him for them, we begin to see the abundance in our lives. It's the small moments, like the warmth of the sun, the sound of birds chirping, or the feeling of a gentle breeze, that remind us of God's constant presence and care. In this moment of gratitude, we also acknowledge the challenges we may face. Even in difficult times, we are called to give thanks. For God does not leave us in our struggles. He is with us through every hardship, guiding us and providing us with the strength to endure. There is always a lesson in the trials we face, and when we trust in God's wisdom, we can find peace, knowing that He is working everything together for our good. The practice of giving thanks in the face of adversity deepens our faith and helps us remain hopeful, knowing that our circumstances are temporary and God's promises are eternal. When we thank God each morning, we also open ourselves to receive the gifts He has in store for us throughout the day. Gratitude is a magnet for blessings. The more we give thanks, the more we attract things to be thankful for. This divine exchange is a beautiful flow of energy that connects us with God and the abundant universe He has created. It is through gratitude that we acknowledge His presence in every moment and remain open to the flow of His love and blessing. As we start our day with gratitude, we align ourselves with God's will. Thanking Him first thing in the morning centers us, bringing us back to a place of spiritual balance and peace. We are reminded that He is the source of all our blessings, and it is only through Him that we are able to experience life in its fullest form. Each breath we take is a gift from God, and every step we take is guided by His hand. Acknowledging His presence and thanking Him for it grounds us in the truth that we are never alone. He is with us, guiding us every step of the way. In this sacred moment of prayer, we reflect on the countless ways God has worked in our lives. We remember the times when He has provided for us, healed us, and guided us through difficult moments. Each answered prayer is a testament to His faithfulness, and each blessing is a reminder of His love. As we reflect on these moments, we are filled with a deep sense of gratitude and awe for the ways God works in our lives. We remember that we are not the sum of our achievements, but rather the recipients of His grace, and for that we give thanks. When we focus on God's blessings, we cultivate an attitude of abundance. It's easy to fall into the trap of comparison and desire for more, but when we thank God for what we have, we shift our mindset from lack to abundance. We realize that we already have everything we need, and that is more than enough. God's blessings are not limited by our circumstances, but rather by our ability to recognize and appreciate them. The more we acknowledge His goodness, the more we see it everywhere we look. In the quiet moments of morning prayer, we also invite God to lead us through the day ahead. We trust that He will guide our steps, give us wisdom, and help us navigate the challenges that may arise. With God's guidance, we can face any situation with confidence, knowing that He is in control. We can walk through our day with a sense of peace, knowing that no matter what comes our way, God is already ahead of us, preparing the path. Thanking God each morning also allows us to release any burdens or worries we may carry. In His presence we find rest for our souls. When we trust in God, we can surrender our anxieties and fears, knowing that He is bigger than any problem we may face. This morning prayer is not just a time to express gratitude, but also a time to release and let go of anything that may be weighing us down. We lay our burdens at His feet, trusting that He will take care of them in His perfect timing. As we offer our morning prayers of thanks, we are reminded of the power of words. Our words have the ability to shape our reality, and when we speak words of gratitude, we are creating an atmosphere of positivity and abundance. Words of thanksgiving invite God's presence into our lives and into our day. They help us focus on the good and magnify His blessings. By speaking these words of gratitude, we are declaring our faith in God's goodness and acknowledging His power in our lives. Throughout the day, we can carry this spirit of gratitude with us. As we go about our tasks, we can continue to thank God for His provision, His wisdom, and His presence. Gratitude is not just a one-time act, but a continuous attitude that transforms our hearts and minds. When we choose to live in gratitude, we begin to see the world through a lens of positivity and possibility. We become more aware of the blessings around us, and we begin to attract more things to be thankful for. Let us take a moment to thank God for the gift of this day. We thank Him for the breath in our lungs, the strength in our bodies, and the love in our hearts. We thank Him for the opportunities that await us, for the people we will meet, and for the lessons we will learn. We thank Him for the peace that surpasses understanding and the joy that fills our hearts. We thank Him for the simple pleasures and the grand blessings. We thank Him for His grace, His mercy, and His unfailing love. As we move forward into the day, let us carry this spirit of thanksgiving with us. Let our words and actions be a reflection of our gratitude to God. Let us be mindful of the blessings we have, and let us give thanks for them each and every day. May our hearts be full of gratitude, and may our lives be a testament to God's goodness and faithfulness. And as we go about our day, may we continue to count our blessings, for in doing so we open ourselves to receive even more of the goodness that God has in store for us. As we continue on this journey of gratitude, let us reflect on how deeply our hearts are connected to God's love and provision. Every moment of our existence is an opportunity to acknowledge Him, to thank Him, and to allow His divine presence to fill every part of our lives. There is something profoundly transformative about starting each day with a heart full of thanksgiving. It shapes our attitudes, our decisions, and our responses to the world around us. When we begin our day in this way, we invite God's peace into our hearts, creating an environment of harmony and spiritual alignment. In the stillness of the morning before the world awakens, we have a precious opportunity to commune with God. This quiet time is a sacred moment to remember that He is the creator of all things, and in Him all things hold together. We are reminded that He is the source of every good gift, and every blessing in our lives flows from His loving hand. Each day is a new gift, and it is up to us to recognize the beauty and the potential that it holds. When we wake up and say thank you to God, we acknowledge that He has given us yet another chance to live, to love, and to serve. Giving thanks in the morning is also a reminder of the many blessings that we may sometimes take for granted. We often become so focused on the things we want or feel we lack that we overlook the abundance we already have. But the truth is that we are rich in blessings. Even in moments of struggle, God is present, and there are countless things we can give thanks for. Our health, no matter how fragile, is a gift. The people we love and who love us in return are gifts. The breath we take, the thoughts we think, and the experiences we have are all gifts. The more we open our eyes to these blessings, the more we begin to see the endless ways that God is at work in our life. Let us not forget the profound impact that a grateful heart can have on our mental and emotional well-being. Scientific studies have shown that gratitude has a direct effect on our happiness. When we express thanks, we release feelings of negativity and stress, replacing them with positive emotions and peace. This is not only a mental shift, but it is a spiritual one as well. God has created us to live in a state of joy and contentment, and gratitude aligns us with that divine design. It opens us up to receiving more of His goodness and allows His joy to flood our hearts. In the morning, when we take the time to thank God, we are also setting the tone for the day ahead. We are declaring that no matter what comes our way, we will choose to see the good. We may face challenges, but we know that God is with us, and that is reason enough to be thankful. We are acknowledging that even in the midst of difficulty, He is faithful and His love never fails. When we express gratitude, we activate our faith, trusting that God will lead us through the day with wisdom and strength. With every challenge, He provides us with the tools and grace we need to overcome. The power of thanksgiving extends beyond our own lives and into the lives of those around us. As we give thanks, we become a light to others. Our gratitude is contagious, and it invites those we encounter to recognize the blessings in their own lives. We become carriers of God's love and peace, radiating His goodness to everyone we meet. Our attitude of thankfulness can be a source of encouragement to those who may be struggling or feeling discouraged. When others see our joy and peace, they are drawn to the same source of blessing, God Himself. Thanking God each morning also serves as a reminder of the promises He has made to us. The Bible is full of promises that remind us that God is always with us, that He will never leave us or forsake us, and that He will provide for all our needs. When we give thanks, we are not only acknowledging the blessings we have, but we are also declaring our faith in God's promises. We trust that He will continue to provide, guide, and protect us. Our gratitude becomes a testimony of our trust in His faithfulness. It strengthens our confidence that He is working everything together for our good, even when we don't fully understand the circumstances. In our times of prayer, as we thank God for the blessings we've received, we also become more aware of our role in His divine plan. We are reminded that we are not here by accident, but that God has a purpose for each of us. Every blessing is an opportunity to serve, to give, and to be a blessing to others. When we are grateful for what we have, we are more likely to share it with those around us. Our blessings are meant to flow through us, and when we thank God, we open our hearts to be vessels of His love and goodness to others. Each moment we spend in gratitude strengthens our connection to God. It deepens our relationship with Him and allows us to experience His love in a more intimate way. When we take the time to give thanks, we invite God into every part of our lives. We surrender our plans and our desires to Him, trusting that His will for us is good. We trust that He knows what is best for us and that He will guide us toward the fulfillment of His purpose. Gratitude becomes the bridge that connects us to His divine wisdom and direction. As we move through the day, let us remain mindful of the blessings we've received. It is easy to get caught up in the busyness of life, but when we practice gratitude, we train ourselves to notice the goodness of God in every moment. We begin to see that He is at work in even the smallest details of our lives. A kind word from a stranger, the beauty of nature, or the laughter of a child, all of these are gifts from God, and we can be thankful for them. In our moments of gratitude, we acknowledge that God is present with us in every aspect of our lives. Let us also remember that thanksgiving is not just for the good times, but for the difficult moments as well. It is in those times that our faith is tested and our trust in God is refined. When we face challenges, it is easy to feel overwhelmed or discouraged. But when we choose to give thanks, even in those moments, we shift our focus from the problem to the solution. We remember that God is bigger than any problem and that His power is greater than any challenge. In the midst of hardship, thanksgiving becomes an act of surrender and trust in God's ability to turn every situation around for our good. Thanking God each morning is a powerful way to start the day with intention and purpose. It helps us cultivate a heart of gratitude that stays with us throughout the day. When we express thanks, we acknowledge that we are not in control, but that God is. We trust that He will guide our steps, provide for our needs, and protect us from harm. We can face the day with confidence, knowing that His presence goes before us. Gratitude is a gift that keeps on giving. The more we give thanks, the more we realize how much we have to be thankful for. It becomes a cycle of blessing that continues to grow. The more we recognize and appreciate the good in our lives, the more good we attract. God's blessings are endless, and when we live with a heart of gratitude, we open ourselves up to receive even more of His love and provision. Gratitude transforms our hearts, our minds, and our lives, bringing us closer to God and His divine purpose for us. As we continue to give thanks each morning, we must remember that this practice is not merely a routine, but a profound act of faith. Every time we express gratitude, we acknowledge the countless ways in which God has been faithful to us. It's easy to overlook the ordinary blessings. Waking up with breath in our lungs, having a roof over our heads, the people who care about us. All of these are gifts, and acknowledging them helps us align ourselves with God's will. Through this simple act, we experience a deeper connection with His love and provision, and we begin to see that every day is a divine opportunity. There is power in gratitude, particularly when we start our days with it. It is not only an expression of thanksgiving, but also a declaration of trust. Each time we thank God for the blessings we have, we express our faith in His goodness and His ability to provide. This act shapes our hearts to be more receptive to His blessings, and it opens the door for more miracles to manifest in our lives. When we start the day by acknowledging God's presence, we invite Him to lead us through the day. We are not just thanking Him for what has been, but also for what is yet to come. We are trusting that He is in control, that He is the author of our stories, and that He will equip us with everything we need. A morning filled with gratitude doesn't just affect our spiritual lives. It changes our perspective on everything. It brings a sense of peace and clarity to our minds, preparing us for the day ahead. When we remember to give thanks, we step out of bed with an attitude of possibility rather than a sense of dread or frustration. We stop focusing on what we don't have and begin to recognize the abundance that already exists. So gratitude shifts our energy from lack to abundance, from fear to faith, and from hopelessness to hope. It becomes a lens through which we see the world and everything in it. And with this perspective, our actions and responses to challenges are transformed. Gratitude also reminds us that God's presence is constant. It is not just in the good moments, but in the difficult ones as well. Each challenge we face is an opportunity for God to show us His power and faithfulness. When we thank God during times of trial, we acknowledge His sovereignty over all things. It is in these moments that we begin to understand that God is shaping us, growing us, and preparing us for something greater. Even when we cannot see the way forward, our gratitude becomes an anchor that keeps us grounded in His promises. God uses these times to teach us to lean on Him more fully, and He often reveals His love to us in deeper ways through our struggles. As we cultivate a heart of gratitude, we begin to experience a shift in our relationships with others. Gratitude not only draws us closer to God, but also opens our hearts to those around us. When we are thankful for the blessings we receive, we are more likely to share those blessings with others. Gratitude creates a ripple effect, one that spreads from our hearts to the hearts of those we encounter. When we approach others with a thankful attitude, we become a source of encouragement, light, and hope. Our gratitude reminds others that they too have much to be thankful for, and that God is present in their lives, even in the most challenging moments. Furthermore, gratitude deepens our connection to the community around us. It helps us see the divine in the people we interact with. Every person we meet is a unique reflection of God's image, and when we recognize this, we are more likely to express kindness, patience, and understanding. As we thank God for the people in our lives, we begin to view them through a lens of grace and compassion. Even when people disappoint or hurt us, gratitude helps us release judgment and extend forgiveness. It transforms our hearts into vessels of God's love, and in doing so, we become more aligned with His will for us. Another aspect of gratitude is its role in our mental health. A heart filled with thanks is a heart at peace. When we focus on what is good, lovely, and praiseworthy, our minds are freed from negativity and worry. Thankfulness helps us to overcome anxiety and stress, reminding us that God is bigger than any obstacle we face. When we give thanks, we shift our focus from problems to solutions, from struggles to victories. It reminds us that God is always working in the background, orchestrating every detail of our lives for our good. This shift in perspective allows us to trust God more fully, knowing that we are never alone in our journey. Gratitude, when practiced consistently, leads to a life of joy. This joy is not dependent on circumstances, but is rooted in the steadfast love of God. It is a deep and abiding sense of contentment that comes from knowing that we are loved by the Creator of the universe, that He has a plan for our lives, and that He is with us every step of the way. When we start our mornings by counting our blessings, we cultivate an attitude of joy that lasts throughout the day. This joy is contagious, and it becomes a source of strength and encouragement for those around us. In addition to transforming our attitudes and relationships, gratitude empowers us to take action. When we are thankful for the resources and opportunities God has given us, we are more inclined to use them for His glory. Gratitude motivates us to serve others, to be faithful stewards of the talents and gifts God has entrusted to us. It calls us to live with purpose and intention, knowing that everything we have is a gift from God and should be used to bring Him honor. As we express our thanks, we are reminded that our lives are not our own, but are meant to be lived for His purposes. Gratitude encourages us to pursue our calling with passion and dedication, trusting that God will provide everything we need along the way. Through gratitude, we also open ourselves to receiving more from God. When we are thankful for what we have, we acknowledge that God is the source of every good thing, and we trust that He will continue to bless us abundantly. Our hearts become more receptive to His gifts, and we begin to recognize the many ways in which He is at work in our lives. Gratitude shifts our mindset from scarcity to abundance, reminding us that there is always more than enough when we trust in God's provision. It opens the floodgates of heaven, allowing God's blessings to flow into our lives in ways we could never have imagined. As we continue on our journey of gratitude, let us remember that it is a practice, not a one-time event. Each day is an opportunity to give thanks for the goodness of God. The more we practice gratitude, the more it becomes a natural part of who we are. It shapes our hearts, minds, and spirits, aligning us with God's will and drawing us closer to His heart. Gratitude brings us peace, joy, and contentment, and it allows us to see the beauty and blessings that are all around us. Every morning is a new chance to give thanks, to recognize God's goodness, and to live in alignment with His divine purpose for our lives. Let us embrace each day with a heart full of thanksgiving, knowing that as we do, we are inviting God to lead us, guide us, and bless us beyond measure. As we continue to practice gratitude each morning, let us remember that it is not just a ritual or a mere habit, but a profound way of living. It is the acknowledgement of God's unwavering presence and the recognition of His divine blessings in all aspects of our lives. Every moment that we breathe, every step we take, and every gift we receive comes from the gracious hand of our Creator. When we begin our day with thankfulness, we are shifting the focus from the distractions and challenges of the world to the infinite goodness of God. We are consciously choosing to turn our hearts toward Him and express our dependence on His love and provision. Starting the day with gratitude creates a spiritual foundation that can carry us through even the most difficult of circumstances. There will be moments when things don't go as planned, when obstacles appear too big to overcome, and when we feel overwhelmed. But in these moments, gratitude can be our anchor, reminding us that God's promises are true and that He will never leave us or forsake us. By simply thanking Him for His presence, we invite His peace into our hearts. When our hearts are filled with gratitude, fear, doubt, and anxiety cannot take root. We begin to see beyond the immediate struggles and understand that God's plan is always greater than any momentary setback. There is something so beautiful and transforming about starting the day with a prayer of thanks. It becomes a sacred act of submission, where we acknowledge that our lives are not our own but belong to Him. By surrendering our plans, worries, and hopes to Him, we demonstrate trust in His guidance. This prayerful attitude sets the tone for the rest of the day, shifting our focus from what we do not have to all that we do have. It causes us to stop and reflect on the countless ways that God has shown up in our lives, the relationships we have, the strength He provides, and the opportunities He opens for us. When we begin each day by thanking God, we are opening ourselves to His divine will. We are choosing to move in alignment with His purpose, trusting that He will direct our steps. Gratitude is also a powerful way of cultivating a positive mindset. In a world that often emphasizes what we lack or what we desire, gratitude helps us refocus on what is already abundant in our lives. It teaches us to look at our circumstances through the lens of God's provision and grace. When we give thanks, we remind ourselves that there is always something to be thankful for, no matter how small it may seem. Whether it's the warm rays of sunlight that greet us in the morning or the kindness of a friend, every blessing is a reflection of God's love. By expressing gratitude, we not only acknowledge these blessings, but also invite more of God's goodness into our lives. When we give thanks for what we have, it opens the door for even greater blessings to flow in. Gratitude aligns us with God's heart, and when we align ourselves with Him, we can trust that He will continue to pour His blessings into our lives. Moreover, gratitude leads to greater contentment. In a culture that constantly pushes for more success, more possessions, more achievements, gratitude teaches us to appreciate what we already have. It helps us to see that true fulfillment does not come from external accomplishments, but from recognizing the gifts we have already received. By giving thanks each morning, we cultivate a sense of peace and satisfaction, knowing that we are enough just as we are. We don't need to chase after things to feel fulfilled, because our fulfillment comes from the presence of God. We are whole and complete in Him. Gratitude reminds us of this truth and helps us to walk in the freedom that comes from knowing that we are already blessed. This practice of giving thanks also has a profound effect on our relationships. When we are thankful, we are more likely to express appreciation to others. Gratitude opens our hearts to those around us, and it encourages us to look for the good in others. Instead of focusing on what others may not have done or how they may have disappointed us, gratitude shifts our focus to the positive qualities in the people we interact with. It helps us to see them through the eyes of love and grace rather than judgment or criticism. When we express gratitude for the people in our lives, we strengthen our relationships and create a sense of mutual respect and admiration. A thankful heart is always generous, with its love and appreciation. Furthermore, gratitude strengthens our faith. When we reflect on the ways God has blessed us, we are reminded of His faithfulness and provision in the past. This remembrance encourages us to trust Him more fully in the present and future. Gratitude is a testimony of God's goodness and a declaration that we believe in His promises. Each time we thank Him, we affirm that we believe He is working in our lives even when we cannot see the full picture. Gratitude helps us to remember that God is sovereign and that everything He does is for our good. This unwavering faith in God's character and His ability to work all things together for good allows us to face the challenges of life with hope and confidence. One of the most beautiful aspects of gratitude is its ability to transform our outlook on life. When we approach each day with a heart of thanksgiving, we begin to see the beauty in even the smallest moments. The mundane becomes sacred, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. Gratitude helps us to appreciate life as it is, not just as we wish it to be. It opens our eyes to the blessings we may have overlooked or taken for granted. By simply pausing to give thanks, we become more present and aware of God's presence in our lives. We begin to see that He is at work in every moment, whether in the joy of a sunny morning or in the quiet stillness of a rainy afternoon. With gratitude, we are able to appreciate each day as a precious gift, knowing that God is with us in every moment. In addition to transforming our perspective, gratitude also enhances our emotional well-being. It has been scientifically proven that people who regularly practice gratitude experience lower levels of stress, anxiety, and depression. Gratitude shifts our mindset from focusing on the negative aspects of life to recognizing the positive, which can significantly improve our mood. When we express thanks, we are acknowledging the goodness of God, and this act of recognition fills our hearts with peace and joy. We are less likely to become consumed by worry or fear when we are focused on all the things we have to be grateful for. Gratitude helps us to release negative emotions and cultivate a heart of joy and contentment. Gratitude is not only an individual practice, but also a communal one. When we express gratitude, we create an atmosphere of gratitude around us. Our thankfulness becomes contagious, and it has the power to uplift those around us. When we thank God for His blessings, we invite others to do the same. Gratitude is a unifying force, bringing people together in a shared recognition of God's goodness. As we express our gratitude, we inspire others to reflect on the ways God has been faithful in their lives. It creates a ripple effect, spreading love and encouragement throughout our communities. Lastly, gratitude opens our hearts to greater opportunities. When we are thankful for what we have, we position ourselves to receive more from God. Gratitude shifts our focus from lack to abundance, from scarcity to prosperity. It opens our eyes to the possibilities that lie ahead, reminding us that God is always at work, preparing us for something greater. By giving thanks for the present, we make room for God's future blessings to flow into our lives. The gratitude is an invitation for God to do more in us and through us, and when we respond with a heart of thankfulness, we make ourselves available for the next chapter of God's plan. Each day, as we rise and reflect on all that God has done, let us remember that gratitude is a powerful tool that transforms our hearts and minds. It deepens our connection with God, strengthens our faith, and opens our eyes to the blessings all around us. Through gratitude, we not only honor God, but also invite His peace, joy, and provision into every area of our lives. As we give thanks each morning, we are setting ourselves on a path of blessing, peace, and divine purpose. Let us continue to cultivate hearts of gratitude, knowing that as we do, we will experience the fullness of God's love and grace in every moment of our lives. As we step into each new day, let us take a moment to center ourselves and remind our hearts that gratitude is not just a word we speak, but a way of life. In the quiet moments of our morning, before the world rushes in, we have the sacred opportunity to acknowledge God's presence and grace. We are reminded of the fact that God is not a distant figure, but a loving Father who is intimately involved in every detail of our lives. When we begin each day with thanksgiving, we are aligning ourselves with His will, opening our hearts to receive His blessings and positioning ourselves to see His hand at work in all things. Gratitude is a spiritual practice that allows us to reconnect with our purpose and our Creator. It is not merely about being thankful for what we have, but it's about acknowledging the greatness of God and recognizing that everything we have is a gift from Him. The beauty of gratitude is that it shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have. When we give thanks, we are acknowledging that the things we often take for granted, our health, our family, our jobs, and the ability to breathe and live, are not just coincidences, but are divine gifts from a loving God. By practicing gratitude each morning, we invite God's presence into our hearts and allow His peace to wash over us. When we open our eyes in the morning, we are reminded of the countless ways in which God has already provided for us. From the simplest things like the warmth of the sunlight or the ability to take a deep breath, to the greater things, such as the relationships we are blessed with and the work He has set before us. There is always something to be thankful for. And even in those moments when life feels heavy, when the world seems overwhelming, and when the weight of our problems threatens to consume us, gratitude becomes our shield. It is in those very moments that we must pause and thank God for His presence, for His promises, and for the strength that He provides. When we practice gratitude, we are actively choosing to focus on the goodness of God rather than the trials that come our way. Life may not always be easy, and we may face difficulties that challenge us beyond measure, but in those moments we have the choice to give thanks. In fact, the more we are faced with challenges, the more we should turn our hearts to gratitude. The Bible teaches us to give thanks in all circumstances, not because we are thankful for the trials themselves, but because we trust that God is working in and through them. Even in the hardest moments, we know that He is with us, carrying us through, and that His plan for us is far greater than what we can see in the present moment. There is something profoundly humbling about waking up each day and taking a moment to acknowledge the blessings that surround us. It reminds us that we are not in control of everything, but that God is. We do not have to figure it all out on our own because He has already gone before us. Each morning as we offer our thanks, we are surrendering our lives to His divine guidance. It is a beautiful act of trust and faith, acknowledging that He is the source of every good thing in our lives. It is a simple but powerful reminder that He is the one who holds our future in His hands, and that no matter what lies ahead, He will be with us every step of the way. Gratitude also has the power to shift our mindset and transform the way we see the world. It changes our perspective from one of scarcity to one of abundance. Often we find ourselves focused on what we don't have, the things we are striving for, or the desires that have not yet been fulfilled. But when we take the time to give thanks, we begin to see that we already have everything we need in this moment. We realize that the blessings we have, though they may seem small at times, are far more than enough. And in recognizing this, we are able to let go of the need to constantly pursue more. We find contentment in the present moment, knowing that God has provided for us in every way. Furthermore, gratitude has a ripple effect. When we practice thankfulness in our own lives, it spreads to others. Gratitude is contagious. When we choose to give thanks, we not only invite more blessings into our own lives, but we also become a blessing to those around us. Our words of gratitude can uplift others, encourage them in their own journey, and inspire them to cultivate a heart of thankfulness as well. When we express gratitude to others, we are acknowledging their worth and showing them that we see and appreciate the goodness in their lives. Gratitude then becomes a tool for building stronger relationships and fostering a spirit of unity and love. As we continue to practice gratitude each day, we may find that it transforms our relationships with others as well. When we approach others with a thankful heart, we begin to see them not as obstacles or irritations, but as people who have been placed in our lives for a reason. We begin to appreciate the unique qualities they bring to our world and recognize that just like us, they are walking through life with their own struggles, joys, and dreams. Gratitude opens our hearts to be more patient, more understanding, and more compassionate toward others. It helps us to forgive more readily, to show kindness without expecting anything in return, and to love more deeply. There is also power in collective gratitude. When we come together as a community to offer our thanks to God, there is a spiritual unity that is created. The Bible encourages us to give thanks together in the assembly of believers, for there is something powerful about joining our voices in worship and thanksgiving. When we gather with others to praise God and thank Him for His goodness, our hearts are lifted and our faith is strengthened. It is a reminder that we are not alone in this journey and that we are part of a greater family that shares in the blessings and burdens of life. Together, our gratitude becomes a form of worship, honoring God and acknowledging His faithfulness in our lives. In times of difficulty, when it feels as though we are walking through a storm, gratitude can become the anchor that holds us steady. When we don't know where to turn or what to do, gratitude reminds us that we can still find peace in the midst of the storm. It centers us on the truth that God is faithful, that He is sovereign, and that He is working everything for our good. Even in our darkest moments, we can still give thanks for His presence and for the hope that He offers. Gratitude helps us to remember that the storm is temporary, but God's love and faithfulness are eternal. It shifts our focus from the chaos around us to the peace that is found in Him alone. When we reflect on the blessings in our lives, we also begin to see the ways in which God has shaped and molded us through our experiences. Every challenge we face, every triumph, and every moment of growth is a testimony to His work in us. Gratitude becomes an opportunity to reflect on the person we are becoming and to give thanks for the transformation that is taking place in our hearts. We may not always see the changes immediately, but as we look back, we can see how God has been faithful to shape us, refine us, and help us grow into the people He created us to be. In this journey of life, it is easy to get caught up in the busyness of our days, the demands of our work, and the distractions of the world. But gratitude grounds us in the present moment and helps us to remain focused on what truly matters. It invites us to slow down, to pause, and to take in the blessings that surround us. Let us remember that every new day is a gift from God, and it is an opportunity to give thanks for all that He has done and will continue to do in our lives. Gratitude not only transforms our hearts, but also transforms our entire outlook on life. It fills us with peace, joy, and contentment, and it strengthens our faith and relationships. As we give thanks for the blessings we have, we open ourselves to receive even more of God's goodness. And as we share our gratitude with others, we create a ripple effect of blessing and love that extends far beyond ourselves. So let us continue to thank God for each day, each breath, and each blessing, knowing that He is good, He is faithful, and He is with us always. In conclusion, as we start each new day, let us remember the profound power of gratitude. It is a practice that centers our hearts, aligns our spirits with God's will, and transforms the way we see the world. By giving thanks, we acknowledge that every blessing, big or small, is a gift from our loving Creator, and we open ourselves to His presence in every moment. Gratitude shifts our perspective from scarcity to abundance, reminding us of the countless ways God has already provided for us. When we give thanks, we not only honor God's faithfulness in our own lives, but we also inspire those around us to embrace a heart of thankfulness. Gratitude strengthens relationships, builds community, and fosters unity in ways that words alone cannot express. Even in the most challenging of times, gratitude becomes our anchor, keeping us grounded in the truth that God is with us, working all things for our good. So as we rise each morning, let us take a moment to reflect, to offer our thanks, and to trust in the blessings yet to come. Let gratitude be our daily prayer, for in it we find peace, joy, and the assurance that God is with us every step of the way. May we continue to count our blessings, knowing that with a grateful heart, we are drawing closer to the abundant life that God has promised us. The world you see is only a reflection of the world within. You are not bound by circumstances, nor are you a victim of fate. You are the operant power. If you can imagine it vividly and persist in that assumption, it must become your reality. Right now, you may look around and see limitation, but that is only the residue of old thoughts, old beliefs. The moment you assume the feeling of being a billionaire, the world must bend to reflect that state. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. You do not wait for wealth to come before feeling wealthy. You feel it first and then it comes. Walk as though the world belongs to you, because it does. Not with arrogance, but with quiet knowing. Feel the weight of prosperity in your pockets, the ease in your breath, the confidence in your steps. Pay attention to how a billionaire thinks, how they move, how they respond to life. When an opportunity arises, they do not hesitate. When faced with challenges, they do not shrink in fear. They act from a state of abundance, not lack. Your imagination is the bridge between what is seen and what is unseen. When you close your eyes and step into the reality of wealth, the world has no choice but to catch up. You do not beg or plead for riches, you embody them. Every night before sleep, see yourself living in luxury, not as a distant dream, but as your natural state. How does it feel to wake up in the morning knowing you have unlimited resources? What does your home look like? Who do you associate with? What choices do you make? Dwell in that reality until it feels more real than anything your senses tell you. The law is precise. What you assume to be true hardens into fact. If you persist in seeing yourself as wealthy, with no contradiction in your heart, the world will reshape itself to match that assumption. Circumstances will shift, opportunities will arise, and resources will flow in ways beyond your rational mind's comprehension. You are not creating wealth, you are aligning with it. There is no power outside of you deciding your fate. It is your own consciousness that determines everything. If you claim poverty, you will see poverty. If you claim wealth, wealth must follow. So act as if you are a billionaire, not in pretense, but in conviction. Speak, think, and move as one who has already arrived. The world is simply waiting for you to assume your rightful place. The reality you experience is nothing more than a reflection of the world within you. Everything you see, touch, and interact with is a projection of your own consciousness. The conditions of your life, the people you meet, the circumstances that unfold, all of it is an outpicturing of what you assume to be true. The wealth or lack thereof in your life is not determined by external forces, luck, or chance. It is shaped entirely by the state of your inner world. If you desire financial abundance, you must first create the feeling of abundance within yourself. For the outer world can only reflect what is already established in the mind. Many people believe that wealth is something to be earned through struggle and effort, that it is reserved for a select few who were born into privilege or who happen to be in the right place at the right time. But this belief is itself a limitation, a prison constructed by the mind. If you hold on to the idea that wealth is difficult to obtain, you will always experience struggle. If you believe that financial success is beyond your reach, your reality will continue to reinforce that assumption. The world does not operate independently of your consciousness. It conforms to your dominant thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. The key to transforming your financial reality is to first shift your internal state. Instead of looking at your current bank balance or your external conditions as evidence of lack, you must begin to train yourself to see abundance everywhere. It is not a matter of ignoring what is in front of you, but of understanding that what is seen is only a reflection of past assumptions. The present moment is simply a delayed response to the thoughts and feelings you have been carrying within you. If you persist in the assumption of wealth, if you embody the feeling of being financially free, your external world must rearrange itself to reflect that new state. The question then arises, how do you cultivate the feeling of wealth when your senses scream otherwise? How do you convince yourself that you are financially abundant when your external circumstances tell a different story? The answer lies in the power of imagination. Imagination is not mere fantasy or daydreaming. It is the creative force that shapes reality. The subconscious mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. It simply accepts what you feed it and works to bring it into manifestation. If you can close your eyes and fully immerse yourself in the experience of being wealthy, feeling it as vividly and naturally as you would if it were already true, Your subconscious will accept that state as reality. Begin by asking yourself, if I were already a billionaire, how would I feel? What thoughts would dominate my mind? How would I move through the world? Would I feel stress about money, or would I move with a deep sense of ease and confidence? Would I hesitate to take bold actions, or would I trust that everything I touch turns to gold? The more you embody the state of wealth within, the more your external reality will reflect that assumption. You may find resistance at first. Years of conditioning may try to convince you that this is not real, that you are simply pretending. But persistence is key. Just as a seed does not sprout the moment it is planted, your new state of consciousness will take time to materialize. The moment you accept wealth as your inner reality, the universe begins working behind the scenes to bring it forth. Opportunities will appear where none seemed to exist before. Doors will open effortlessly. People, circumstances, and resources will flow into your life in ways that defy logic. However, it is not enough to simply imagine wealth once and then revert to old patterns of thought. Consistency is crucial. Each day, take time to dwell in the feeling of abundance. Each night before sleep, visualize yourself living in the reality you desire, allowing the feeling to become more real than anything your senses report. When doubts arise, do not fight them. Simply return to the assumption that wealth is already yours. The world outside may take time to catch up, but it has no choice. It must reflect the inner state you persistently hold. Your beliefs act as filters through which you interpret reality. If you believe that money is scarce, you will only see evidence of lack. If you believe that wealth flows to you effortlessly, you will notice opportunities that others overlook. The external world is not rigid or fixed. It is fluid, responding to your dominant assumptions. Change your assumptions, and your world must change accordingly. There is no need to seek validation from the outside. You do not need to check your bank account every day to see if your assumption is working. The moment you accept wealth as your inner truth, it is already done. It is only a matter of time before it materializes in ways you can perceive with your senses. Until then, hold firm in your belief. Live in the knowing that you are already wealthy, and let the world align itself to that conviction. Wealth is not something that comes to you when circumstances align, when you work hard enough, or when luck is in your favor. Wealth is a state of being, a consciousness that you step into before the outer world reflects it back to you. The great mistake many people make is believing that they must first see evidence of riches before they can feel abundant. They wait for their bank account to grow, for opportunities to arise, for someone to hand them the key to financial freedom. But this is not how creation works. Reality does not move from the outer world inward. It moves from the inner world outward. You must first feel the wealth within before you can experience it without. You must adopt the state of abundance now, not when conditions appear favorable. If you wait to feel wealthy until money arrives, you are reinforcing lack. You are telling the universe that wealth is something separate from you, something that exists outside of your being, something that must be earned or obtained. And as long as you hold that belief, you will continue to experience separation from the very thing you desire. The key is to bypass the need for external confirmation and go straight to the feeling. What would it feel like to already be a billionaire? Not in the distant future, not as a possibility, but right now. Imagine waking up in the morning with absolute certainty that wealth is yours, that it is your natural state. Would you feel anxiety about bills? Would you worry about financial struggles? Or would you move through the day with complete ease, knowing that you have unlimited resources at your disposal? This feeling is what creates the reality. The moment you assume the state of being wealthy, you have planted the seed, and once planted, it must grow. You do not need to force it. You do not need to struggle. You do not need to figure out how it will happen. Your only responsibility is to persist in the feeling, to dwell in the consciousness of wealth so deeply that the outer world has no choice but to rearrange itself accordingly. Many people struggle with this concept because they believe their senses. They look at their current financial situation and say, "But this is my reality. How can I feel wealthy when my bank account says otherwise?" But understand this: what you see now is simply a reflection of your past thoughts, your past assumptions, your past state of being. The present is nothing more than the residue of what you once believed to be true. If you continue to react to it, if you continue to base your feelings on what your senses report, you will remain stuck in the same cycle, reinforcing the same experience over and over again. You must break free from the illusion of appearances and step into the truth that you are the creator of your reality. Do not allow what you see to dictate what you feel. Allow what you feel to dictate what you see. Close your eyes and feel the wealth. See yourself living in luxury. Imagine the details vividly. Where do you live? What do you wear? How do you spend your days? Let it become so real in your mind that you can taste it, touch it, experience it fully. The subconscious mind does not know the difference between what is real and what is imagined. It simply accepts what you repeatedly impress upon it as fact. If you tell it that you are wealthy through feeling, through assumption, it will accept that as your truth and will begin to shape your world accordingly. Opportunities will appear, resources will flow, the right people and circumstances will be drawn to you, all as a response to your inner state. Doubt may try to creep in, old patterns of thinking may resurface, but you must remain steadfast in your new state of consciousness. When you catch yourself falling back into worry or lack, shift immediately back into the feeling of abundance. Remind yourself that wealth is already yours, that it is not something you are waiting for, it is something you are. Gratitude is a powerful tool in this process. When you feel grateful for what you already have, you are affirming abundance. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is missing to what is present, and what you focus on expands. Begin to see everything in your life as a sign of your wealth. The air you breathe, the roof over your head, the food on your table, all of it is evidence of abundance flowing to you. The more you recognize and appreciate this, the more you will attract. Another key aspect is detachment. True wealth consciousness does not cling, does not chase, does not fear loss. It knows that abundance is infinite, that there is no lack, that money is simply energy that flows freely. When you stop obsessing over where the money will come from or how it will arrive, you open the floodgates for it to appear effortlessly. The need to control, to micromanage, to desperately seek is rooted in scarcity thinking. The moment you let go and trust, you step fully into the state of being wealthy. When you act from a place of certainty. Make decisions as the person who already has everything they desire. Speak as though wealth is your reality. Walk with the confidence of someone who knows they are financially free. This is not about pretending or forcing. It is about embodying the truth that you are already abundant. The universe responds to you in exact proportion to your state of being. If you feel lack, you attract more lack. If you feel wealth, you attract more wealth. There is no other way. The law is precise, unwavering, and always working in your favor. It does not matter where you are now, what your past has been, or what anyone else believes about you. The moment you claim wealth as your inner truth, it must become your outer reality. The feeling comes first, and then the evidence follows. It has always been this way, and it will always be this way. Your external reality is nothing more than a mirror reflecting the state of your inner world. Every thought you think, every assumption you hold, every feeling you dwell in is projected outward and shapes the world you experience. The mistake most people make is believing that change must first happen externally before they can feel differently internally. They believe they must wait for circumstances to improve before they can feel wealthy, secure, or abundant. But this is the great illusion. The truth is that your world is simply responding to you. It is showing you what you most deeply believe about yourself and life. If you want to change your financial situation, you must first change your consciousness. Consciousness is the foundation of all experience. What you assume to be true about yourself and the world will manifest in your life with absolute precision. If you believe that money is scarce, that wealth is difficult to obtain, that success is only for a select few, then these assumptions will shape your experience. You will struggle, you will chase, and you will find yourself caught in a cycle of lack. But if you shift your inner world, if you assume that wealth is natural, that abundance flows to you effortlessly, that you are already in possession of great riches, then the world will reorganize itself to match that assumption. Your mind is the ultimate creator. Every thought you accept as truth is a seed planted in the subconscious, and once planted, it must grow. The subconscious does not argue, it does not question, it does not discriminate between what is real and what is imagined. It simply takes the dominant impressions you give it and brings them to life. The moment you internalize a belief, the external world begins adjusting to reflect it back to you. This is why you must be vigilant with your thoughts. You cannot afford to entertain ideas of limitation, poverty, or struggle if you wish to experience wealth. Most people allow their senses to dictate their beliefs. They see a lack of money in their bank account and they accept it as truth. They experience financial hardship and they allow it to define their reality. But the outer world is merely an echo of past thoughts and assumptions. If you react to what you see, you are reinforcing it, keeping yourself trapped in the same cycle. If you want a new reality, you must stop reacting to the old one. You must ignore the evidence of the senses and trust in the unseen power of your mind. You must claim your wealth now, even if the outer world does not yet reflect it. This is the key. Assume the feeling of being a billionaire before the money appears. Walk, talk, and think from the state of abundance. Not in a way that is forced, not as an act of pretending, but as an inner conviction so deep that it becomes your truth. You do not wait for proof, you become the proof. You carry yourself as someone who knows they are financially limitless. You make decisions as the person who has already achieved success. You speak from the confidence of knowing that you have more than enough. This shift in consciousness is not about mere positive thinking. It is not about wishful hoping or daydreaming. It is about embodying a state of being so completely that the outer world must conform. Every billionaire you see today, every person who has amassed great wealth, first saw themselves as wealthy within. They carried the consciousness of wealth long before they had the material proof. They did not wait for circumstances to change, they changed themselves, and the world followed. You do not need to force things to happen. You do not need to chase money or struggle to bring wealth into your life. Your only responsibility is to assume the feeling of already being the person you wish to be. Once you do this, the world will shift in ways you cannot yet comprehend. Ideas will come to you, opportunities will present themselves, people and circumstances will move in perfect harmony to bring your vision to life. But none of this happens until you first change your inner world. Doubt may arise. The mind may resist. It may try to pull you back into old ways of thinking, but you must remain firm. You must remind yourself daily that the world is only reflecting your inner state. The moment you assume a new state, the world begins adjusting to match it. This is an unbreakable law. It has always worked this way, and it will always work this way. End quote. Starling, your only task is to persist in the assumption of wealth, to embody it so fully that there is no room for anything else. And as you do this, as you commit to living from this new state of being, the world will yield to your vision, and wealth will become your reality. Money is not something you chase. It is something you attract by the person you become, by the state of consciousness you occupy. If you believe that money is difficult to come by, that it requires struggle, that only a lucky few have access to vast wealth, then your world will reflect that belief. You will find yourself working tirelessly, always feeling as though abundance is just out of reach. But the truth is that money, like everything else in this world, is simply energy. It responds to your inner state, to the way you think and feel about it. If you see money as something separate from you, something that must be obtained through effort and sacrifice, then you will always feel a sense of distance from it. But when you shift your perception and recognize that wealth is already within you, that abundance is your natural state, then you become a magnet for prosperity. Money flows to those who expect it, who feel at ease with it, who trust in its presence. It is never about how hard you work, but about how deeply you believe in your own wealth. To truly step into the consciousness of abundance, you must remove all fear and doubt surrounding money. Fear creates resistance, and resistance blocks the natural flow of prosperity. If you fear losing money, if you worry about not having enough, If you stress over expenses, you are unknowingly pushing wealth away. Your energy is saying, I do not trust that I am taken care of, and the world responds accordingly. But when you release that fear, when you affirm that you are always provided for, that money comes to you easily and effortlessly, you create a new relationship with wealth. Your beliefs about money were shaped long before you were aware of them. You may have been taught that wealth is reserved for a select few, that it requires sacrifice, that it is wrong to desire more. But these are simply inherited ideas, not universal truths. Look around and you will see people who attract wealth effortlessly, who seem to have money flow to them without effort. They are not luckier than you. They have simply conditioned themselves to expect abundance. They have no resistance to wealth, and so it comes to them in limitless supply. If you want to shift your financial reality, you must change your subconscious programming. You must replace old limiting beliefs with new empowering ones. Start by seeing money as a natural part of your life, not as something scarce or difficult to obtain. Imagine yourself surrounded by abundance, feeling the ease and security that comes with knowing you are always provided for. Speak of money in positive terms, appreciate what you have, and expect more to flow to you. Gratitude is one of the most powerful ways to align yourself with wealth. When you appreciate what you already have, no matter how small, you send a signal to the universe that you are in harmony with abundance. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to prosperity, from struggle to ease. It allows you to recognize the wealth that is already present in your life and opens the door for even more to enter. Many people believe they must work hard for money, but this is a misunderstanding. True wealth is not about effort, but alignment. It is about stepping into the state of being where money flows to you naturally. Hard work without the right consciousness leads to frustration and exhaustion. But when you operate from the mindset of abundance, when you see yourself as already wealthy, you will find that opportunities come to you effortlessly. Ideas will arise, doors will open, people will appear at the right time, and money will flow in ways you never expected. Do not focus on how money will come. That is not your concern. The moment you fixate on the method, you limit the infinite ways in which abundance can reach you. Instead, focus on embodying the feeling of wealth. Act as though you already have all that you desire. Walk with confidence. Make decisions from a place of abundance. Carry yourself as someone who is financially limitless. The world will adjust to match your state of being. The greatest shift happens when you stop seeing money as something external and start recognizing it as a reflection of your inner world. Money is not separate from you. It is simply an expression of your state of consciousness. The moment you claim your wealth within, the external world will have no choice but to conform. This is not wishful thinking. It is a law as precise as gravity. Assume the feeling of financial abundance. Release all fear and doubt, and watch as the world bends to reflect your inner wealth. When you embody the mindset of a billionaire, you do not seek validation from the external world. You do not wait for circumstances to change before you feel abundant. Instead, you move through life with a quiet confidence, knowing that the world is simply reflecting your inner state. This is the secret that few understand. Wealth is not created through effort alone, but through identity. Who you are in your imagination. What you accept as true in your mind will inevitably become your reality. There is a difference between hoping for wealth and knowing you are wealthy. Hope suggests a future event, something that has yet to come, but knowing is immediate, present, and unshakable. It is the difference between someone who sees themselves as successful versus someone who wishes to be successful. The former naturally attracts opportunities, resources, and wealth because they are already living from that state. The latter is always in a state of wanting, which only perpetuates more wanting. To truly live as a billionaire in consciousness, you must detach from appearances. The world may show you a bank account with little to no money. It may show you bills, debts, or circumstances that suggest lack. But if you react to these appearances, if you allow them to dictate how you feel, then you are affirming their reality. Instead, you must hold firm to the assumption that you are already wealthy, regardless of what the outer world presents. You must act from this conviction, not from doubt or desperation. Your actions should be a natural extension of your belief in abundance. This does not mean reckless spending or pretending to have money you do not possess. It means carrying yourself with certainty, making decisions from a place of financial confidence rather than fear. A billionaire does not hesitate over minor expenses, does not shrink in the face of opportunity, does not allow fear to dictate their choices. They invest in themselves, they trust in their ability to create wealth, and they move through life with an unwavering sense of security. This security comes from within. It is not dependent on external validation or proof. Many people believe that once they reach a certain level of financial success, they will feel safe, confident, and at ease. But this is an illusion. The feeling must come first. You must cultivate a sense of abundance within yourself now, even before the physical evidence appears. Once you establish this inner certainty, the outer world will follow. The power of assumption is the key. If you assume you are wealthy, you will naturally make choices that align with wealth. You will see opportunities where others see obstacles. You will be drawn to ideas, people, and circumstances that align with financial success. But if you assume lack, if you hold on to beliefs of scarcity, you will continue to experience situations that reinforce those beliefs. The world does not give you what you want, it gives you who you are. This is why change must begin from within. If you desire wealth, you must first become the person who has it in consciousness. You must think, speak, and act as if your financial success is already a fact. You do not need to announce it to the world. True wealth does not seek approval. It exists quietly, powerfully, and inevitably manifests in the material realm. One of the most powerful exercises is to ask yourself, how would I feel if I were already a billionaire? What thoughts would you entertain? How would you carry yourself? What decisions would you make? How would you interact with others? These are not just theoretical questions. They are the blueprint for your transformation. The moment you begin to live from these answers, the world will adjust accordingly. People often ask, how long does it take for this change to manifest? The answer is simple. It takes as long as it takes for you to fully accept it. The moment you stop doubting, the moment you truly embody the state of wealth, the world will move in ways beyond your comprehension to bring it into form. But as long as you waver, as long as you look for signs of proof before you believe, you delay the process. Your faith must be absolute. A billionaire does not question their wealth every day. They do not worry about whether they will have enough. They operate from the knowing that wealth is theirs. This is the state you must adopt. You must trust so completely that your external reality has no choice but to conform. It is not about trying to manipulate circumstances. It is about becoming the person for whom wealth is inevitable. When you shift your consciousness in this way, when you embody the feeling of financial abundance, everything else falls into place. The opportunities, the resources, the ideas. They will come effortlessly, not because you forced them, but because you aligned with them. This is the law. And once you understand it, wealth will no longer be something you chase. It will be something that flows to you naturally and abundantly. Wealth is a state of mind, not a number in a bank account. True billionaires do not measure their abundance by external figures alone, but by the limitless nature of their consciousness. When you expand your awareness to see prosperity as ever flowing, you no longer fear loss or lack. You trust that money is always circulating, always replenishing, and always responding to your inner world. By cultivating this unshakable mindset, you free yourself from the illusion of scarcity and step into the reality where financial success is inevitable. Wealth is not just a number in a bank account. It is not defined by assets, investments, or financial statements alone. True wealth is a state of mind, a deep and abiding sense of abundance that is not shaken by temporary circumstances. When you recognize this, you begin to understand that money itself is not the source of prosperity. It is simply a symbol, a reflection of your inner consciousness. The moment you shift your perception from lack to abundance, you step into the flow where financial success becomes inevitable. Many people mistakenly believe that wealth is something external, something they must chase, acquire, or struggle for. They believe that if they work harder, if they save enough, if they invest wisely, they will finally achieve financial security. But security does not come from numbers on a screen or pieces of paper. It comes from the deep knowing that prosperity is ever flowing, that money is always circulating, always replenishing, always responding to the energy you project into the world. Consider the way a billionaire thinks about money. They do not view it as something scarce, something that must be hoarded or protected. They see it as a tool, a resource that flows naturally in and out of their life. They are not afraid to spend, to invest, to give, because they understand that money is infinite in nature. They know that as they put it to work, it multiplies. This is the mindset that sets the wealthy apart from those who constantly struggle. When you truly understand that wealth is a state of mind, you no longer fear loss. You no longer attach your sense of security to a paycheck, a job, or a financial portfolio. Instead, you cultivate an inner certainty that money is always available to you, that opportunities are always appearing, that prosperity is your natural state. This shift is what transforms your financial reality, because the world does not give you what you wish for. It gives you what you believe yourself to be. Imagine waking up every morning with the unshakable knowing that you are financially abundant. How would you feel? How would you carry yourself? Would you stress over small expenses, or would you move through life with ease, confidence, and generosity? Would you hesitate to invest in yourself, or would you trust that every dollar you put out will return to you multiplied? These are the questions that define the difference between those who experience true wealth and those who remain trapped in a mindset of scarcity. Money is not something you chase, it is something you attract. But attraction is not about hoping or wishing, it is about alignment. When you see yourself as a person of financial abundance, when you embody the feelings of wealth, when you speak and act from the certainty that money is always available to you, the universe has no choice but to reflect that reality. It is not a matter of luck or chance. It is a law as certain as gravity. Think of money as energy. It responds to your emotions, your beliefs, your expectations. If you fear losing it, if you believe it is difficult to obtain, if you constantly worry about having enough, you create resistance, you push money away without realizing it. But when you shift your focus, when you develop an effortless relationship with money, it begins to flow toward you naturally. You no longer act from desperation or anxiety. You make financial decisions with clarity and confidence. You see opportunities where others see limitations. This is why the wealthiest individuals often talk about mindset more than strategy. Of course, practical actions are necessary. Wise investments, financial planning, and strategic decisions all play a role, but those are secondary. The foundation of financial success is the belief that wealth is yours, that it is always expanding, that there is more than enough for everyone. When you internalize this truth, the way you handle money shifts. You stop clinging to it. You stop fearing its absence. You start using it with wisdom and purpose. True financial abundance is not measured by what you accumulate, but by how freely you operate within the flow of prosperity. A person who hoards wealth out of fear is not truly rich. They are simply a prisoner of their money. But the one who understands that money is infinite, that it will always return, that it is a natural byproduct of their consciousness, that person experiences true financial freedom. Consider water in a river. If you try to grab and hold on to it, it slips through your fingers. But if you step into the flow and allow it to carry you, you are never without it. Money works the same way. Those who try to grasp it tightly, who fear losing it, who operate from scarcity, never truly experience its abundance. But those who trust its circulation, who move with the natural rhythm of prosperity, who give and receive with ease, they are never without wealth. If you desire financial success, start by examining your current beliefs about money. Do you see it as hard to earn? Do you believe you must struggle for it? Do you think there is a limit to how much you can have? These beliefs shape your reality. If you hold on to ideas of limitation, you will continue to experience limitation. But the moment you shift, the moment you adopt the consciousness of abundance, everything changes. Wealth is not something you must force into your life, it is something you must become. When you align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with the state of financial abundance, you activate forces beyond your conscious understanding. You attract the right people, the right opportunities, the right ideas. Money begins to come in ways you never could have planned, and because you are no longer attached to it, because you trust its flow, you experience a level of freedom that few ever attain. To live in financial abundance, start acting as if you already are abundant. Carry yourself with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they are always supported. Make decisions from a place of faith, not fear. Stop fixating on lack and instead cultivate a deep appreciation for the wealth that is already in your life. The more you focus on what you have, the more it expands. The more you trust in the circulation of prosperity, the more it flows effortlessly toward you. Your external reality is simply a reflection of your internal state. If you want to change your financial situation, you must first change the way you think and feel about money. Step into the mindset of a billionaire, not in arrogance but in certainty. Trust that wealth is always available, always circulating, always expanding. The moment you fully accept this truth, you will never experience lack again. Money will no longer be something you chase. It will be something that flows to you naturally and abundantly. Wealth is not something you pursue, but something you allow. It is not an external force separate from you, waiting to be earned, fought for, or struggled over. It is a natural extension of your being, a reflection of your state of mind. The moment you realize this, everything begins to change. The effort you once believed was necessary, the long hours, the endless strategizing, the stress of trying to make it, fades into the background. Instead, you step into the effortless flow of abundance, where wealth is no longer something distant, but something that exists within you right now. The world you experience is a mirror of your consciousness. If you see yourself as struggling, as lacking, as limited, then that is exactly what the world will show you. If you believe money is scarce, difficult to acquire, or something only other people have, you will continue to see proof of that belief. But the moment you shift, the moment you step into the identity of someone who is already abundant, the external world has no choice but to align. This is not wishful thinking, it is not fantasy, it is a law as fundamental as gravity. Look around you. Every great fortune, every empire, every success story began in the same place, within someone's mind. Before there was evidence, before there was money, before there was opportunity, there was belief. A quiet, unshakable certainty that wealth was theirs. And because they believed it, the world conspired to make it so. They saw what others overlooked. They took steps with confidence while others hesitated in fear. They did not wait for wealth to appear. They embodied it first, and then it manifested around them. This is the key to financial success. It is not found in chasing opportunities, but in becoming the person for whom opportunities naturally arise. It is not in hoarding money, but in trusting its circulation. It is not in fearing loss, but in knowing that prosperity is infinite, always replenishing, always responding to your inner state. You must understand that money is not something separate from you. It is an extension of your consciousness. If you see yourself as someone who is always struggling to get by, you will continue to experience struggle. If you believe that money only comes through hard work and suffering, you will continue to work hard and suffer. But if you step into the mindset of wealth, if you carry yourself with the ease, confidence, and generosity of someone who already has it, then money must respond. It must flow into your life just as surely as water flows to fill an open space. Ask yourself, how would you move through the world if you already had everything you desire? Would you walk with more confidence? Would you make decisions from a place of certainty instead of fear? Would you stop hesitating and start acting with faith? This is the shift that must happen. Not tomorrow, not when the money comes, now. Because the moment you shift within, the external world will follow. Think of the people who have mastered this truth. They do not stress over money. They do not panic when circumstances change. They do not act from desperation or fear. They understand that wealth is a state of being, not a number. And because they remain unwavering in their belief, they continue to attract prosperity no matter what. This is not about reckless spending or pretending to be something you are not. It is about embodying the consciousness of abundance so fully that it becomes your reality. It is about stepping into the energy of wealth before the evidence appears. It is about knowing that your external world is simply a reflection of your internal state and taking full control of that state. If you find yourself doubting, if fear creeps in, remember this: your mind is the source of everything you experience. When you change your thoughts, you change your life. When you shift from scarcity to abundance, from lack to sufficiency, from struggle to ease, the world rearranges itself to match your new vibration. The great secret is this: money is not something you earn, it is something you align with. It does not come from effort alone, but from a deep inner knowing that it is already yours. The moment you fully accept this truth, the chase ends. You no longer have to fight, struggle, or doubt. You simply allow, and in that allowing, wealth flows effortlessly into your life, just as it was always meant to.